Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. Following her strong reactions to the House investigations into her secret funds and the detention of her Chief of Staff, Vice President Sara Duterte is now facing a host of legal problems. The National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, is looking at grave threats and terrorism, while the PNP has charged her with criminal and administrative offenses. A disbarment letter was also filed with the Supreme Court today. And aside from her refusal to fully cooperate with the House, her recent actions may have become added grounds for her impeachment. The VP's father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, jumping into the fray, also finds himself facing an investigation for inciting to sedition. Let's get on point with former Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo and former Integrated Bar of the Philippines President Attorney Domingo Cayosa, who joins us via Zoom. I'm going to start with Attorney Cayosa. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Pinky, and good evening to your televiewers.
Attorney Cayosa, among all the statements made by Vice President Sara Duterte, which would you say may cause her some legal problems or issues or implications, legal implications?
I think the closest would be the allegations she made against the First Lady. If these are not true, she opens herself to a possible case of libel. The other one is her conduct as a lawyer, her insisting to be a lawyer for her Chief of Staff. And in fact, under the Constitution, the Vice President is prohibited from practicing her profession and acting as counsel. And also in the ethics case, they could also question her cursing and offensive language, as well as her threat or her claim that she has hired a person who has agreed to kill the President, the Speaker, and the First Lady in case something happens to her or she is killed. So that might be construed as a violation of Canon 1 under the old rule and Canon 3 about fidelity to the rule of law and the Constitution and the respect for the law under the new Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability.
There's a lot that you mentioned, Attorney, and a lot to digest. Libel, you said, if the Vice President says she was lying, which I'm assuming she wouldn't say that. Number two, her conduct as a lawyer, representing Attorney Zulaika Lopez as her lawyer when in fact she's supposed to be barred from doing so as Vice President. And then you said an ethics committee possible problem, and the mention of an assassin. Just some of the points raised by the Vice President during succeeding press conferences she gave to the media. Two things, sir. She said that she was possibly taken out of context because it was pretty much conditional. Actually, the word conditional threat came first from Senator Bato de la Rosa, as I remember it, because basically sinasabi po ng Vice President, hindi naman po mangyayari yon kung walang mangyayari sa kanya. Hence, it becomes conditional. Is there such a thing as conditional or active threat?
Well, there's such a thing as active threat, but it's not even a legal term. It's an operational term. And who decides what's an active threat are the agencies of government concerned with law enforcement or security matters. So it depends upon them. And usually, things like this, directly or indirectly, threatening the president and other high government officials, are considered active threats that they have to investigate, verify, and take action if warranted.
Yeah, but the Vice President keeps insisting walang active threat kung hindi ako mamamatay. Yan po yung kanyang sinasabi. That's why it becomes conditional. Help us understand that.
Well, that's her claim, and I suppose she would make that claim if and when any charge is filed against her, whether in an ethics complaint or a criminal charge or an impeachment proceeding.
But could that stand?
But of course, she can make that claim, but it is for the judge or the decision maker to evaluate. Normally, what you say is taken as it is. And in this particular case, there's a video. It has been authenticated. It is, and she herself said she's not joking. It's serious. She meant business. So they will take all of this into consideration. They will also take into consideration her position, her capacity, and her interest if these things happen.
Other things that the Vice President or other issues, as you mentioned, that the Vice President may be facing. Sabi po ni former Senator Antonio Trillanes earlier, he was at the House of Representatives. He said hinug na for an impeachment. Attorney, do you think that because of the latest statements made by the Vice President na hinug na po ang impeachment o matagal na pong hinug para sa isang impeachment?
Well, that's the opinion of former Senator Trillanes, but the Constitution is very clear that Congress, especially the lower house, has the duty and the authority and the responsibility of determining and assessing what would amount to an impeachable offense. And in this particular case, I think more than this incident, the latest incident, the investigation so far on how the funds of the Office of the Vice President and of the then Secretary of Education, the Vice President, were used might be more substantial ground, betrayal of public trust, graft, and corruption. But then again, impeachment is fundamentally a political act of the legislators. So it depends upon them.
So among the possible impeachable offenses, you talked about graft and corruption. And did you say betrayal of public trust that could be used against the Vice President if an impeachment case is, or complaint rather, is filed against her?
Possibly. Among those enumerated in the Constitution, these two would be the most appropriate under evolving facts and testimonies and documents that they've seen and we have seen publicly in the hearings.
But as mentioned, Attorney, at the end of the day, this is really a political exercise. It's a numbers game.
Yes, it only takes one congressman in the report of the committee and 1/3 vote of the House of Representatives. As you would see, that could be very easy for the administration. But whether or not the articles of impeachment will prosper and there will be a conviction at the Senate is another thing, because the Senate, the Constitution requires a 2/3 vote with by the senators, with the Chief Justice presiding but not voting.
Attorney Cayosa, thank you so much for your time.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. We'll be taking a short break. When we return, we'll talk to former Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Joining us now, Attorney Salvador Panelo, former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel. Attorney Panelo, good to have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your invite.
Sabi ko kay Attorney Panelo kanina, Attorney, daming pangyayari. Ano po sabi niyo? Wala naman, sabi
ba?
mo.
Wala naman.
No, seriously, sir. You know,
paulit-ulit lang naman ang nangyayari sa bansang ito eh.
Pero doon sa, sabi nga nila, the VP Sara saga, and then, you know, you have President Rodrigo Duterte also. Let's start with that na lang dun sa sinabi ni Pangulo na, former President Duterte rather, that ano ho ba yung kanyang ibig sabihin doon sa sinabi niya sa militar na would you still, I challenge you, will you still, let me make sure I say it right. I challenge the military, sabi po niya. Sila ang protector of the Constitution. Are they still willing to protect the president who is a drug addict for another 4 years. Ano ho ba ang gustong ipahiwatig ni Pangulong Duterte, dating Pangulong Duterte sa militar?
Unang-una, ang sinasabi nila, he's inciting them to take over the government. Mali yun kasi if you watch his press con, sinabi niya na ayaw niya ng kudita. O doon lang, sira na kagad yung mga sinasabi nila. Second, sinabi niya ayaw ko rin ng people power. So what was
Ayoko ng mga tangke. Sabi niya, luma na yung mga tangke.
Saka ayaw niya ng people power. He thumbed it down. O madalit sabi, what he's saying is he was reminding the AFP that under the Constitution, your job is to protect the people. We have a problem now. Gawin yung trabaho nyo. He didn't even say how they will do it. So how in the world can he be inciting these people to revolt against the government?
Pero pag sabihin mo pong gawin ang inyong trabaho, there is a chain of command, hindi ho ba? They should be loyal to the Constitution.
When
and there
you
is a chain of command.
Pinky, when you say you do your work, you take your oath to protect the people of this country.
Right.
So yun ang trabaho mo. So kung you feel na yung gobyerno na supposed to be will be taking care of the people is not doing its job, it's your job to protect the people from this government.
Who's to say that this person is doing his job or not doing his job? And how does the military actually decipher?
Sila
Because you can say, sir, let me finish this. You can say that Marcos is not doing his job, di ho ba? That could be your perception, the former President Duterte's perception. And then, of course, you have the government saying, of course not, we are doing our job. Anong sinasabi ninyong fractured government? Actually, that were the words of DOJ Undersecretary Andres. So there's, two sides here that may say one thing and then the other another thing.
No, there is another side,
Okay.
the people's side. What their statements coming from both sides, lalong-lalo na kay Presidente Duterte, is a reflection ng tao. Doon ang gagaling yun eh. Kaya yung military will have to decide by themselves kung totoo yung sinasabi ng Presidente o ng gobyerno. Kasi sila nga ang protector eh. Ang discretion nasa kanila. So pag nakita nila ang taong bayan, yung niluklok nilang gobyerno no longer responds to their needs, they feel that they're not being protected, then it is their duty incumbent upon them to do something. What? Nasa kanila yun. Kaya nga sabi ni Presidente, ewan ko kung anong gagawin nyo. Bahala kayo. Basta protector kayo. So that was a reminder, and that's part of the freedom of speech.
I think it was...
Not inciting to sedition.
I think it was also our interview a while ago with Attorney Yusinko who said that this is part of freedom of expression or speech.
Of course.
But again, as mentioned, sir, hindi ho ba? Let's call it a fact. One can say one thing and the other can say another thing. I mean, you're saying it's just a statement made by the former president. You have the DOJ saying, we will investigate the former president for possibly inciting to sedition.
Can that be inciting? I think they should brush up with their law. What does sedition means? Sedition is persons rising tumultuously and publicly to attain certain ends, which is enumerated under the revised penal code. Like yung prevention ng enforcement ng batas, despoiling, inflicting hate, mga ganon. Kailangan makapasok yun. Yung inciting naman is without, kasi yung una, kailangan you do it by force or intimidation. Apart from rising tumultuously, meron pang intimidation, saka violence. Yung inciting, walang
Force or intimidation.
Pero, kailangan pa rin, ang nakalagay kasi, not being a part of sedition, which presupposes there is already a sedition. So how in the world can you be charging this president with inciting? Wala nga sedition eh.
Attorney, what about bordering on sedition? Ito po yung ginamit pala ni DOJ Undersecretary Andres. The DOJ will investigate recent statements made by former President Rodrigo Duterte, particularly remarks inviting military intervention. Okay, tama pa po siya dun sa military intervention, would you say?
Hindi.
Hindi din?
Wala naman siya sinabi na mag-intervene kayo. Sinasabi niya, you are the protector of the people under the Constitution. It is your constitutional duty. You cannot renege on that. Yung sinasabi niyang bordering, he admits.
Bordering on sedition.
Kaya, bordering on he admits na walang sedition. Bordering eh. Hindi
Papunta
sedition.
pa lang doon.
Papunta pa lang. O, di walang crime. Mario Josep.
So wala yon para sa inyo?
Hindi
Well,
lang
of
para
course,
sa
as
akin.
expected.
Para sa batas.
All right, so you're not bothered, you're not concerned about that at all. What about all these?
If the principal is not even bothered, what should I be?
Well, what has actually bothered President Rodrigo Duterte in the past? Siguro yung nakita ko na lang po doon sa Quadcom, nung kukunin niya yung mic at itatapon niya sana or ihahagis niya,
Nakatali
no?
lang, kaya hindi na ihagis.
Ihagis
Kaya
ba
baka
niya
ibang
talaga?
tamaan eh. Yung katabi niya ang tamaan.
Pero talagang gagawin ho ba niya yon? He was really about to do that?
Aba parang iniinsulto siya. Can you imagine, sasabihin yung pamilya mo, drug lords?
Nakinabang sa drug lords.
Hindi lang yun. Drug lord ang sinabi niya eh. Siya lang ang pinakamalaking drug syndicate sa Davao.
Right.
Ano mo yun? Talagang...
How did the president feel after that hearing?
Okay,
sir?
di ba? That's why, di ba, he called me up when I was doing my TikTok.
Yeah.
Nagulat nga ako eh. Kasi, Mr. President, we're doing TikTok. Worldwide ito, ha? It's okay. I just called you because I want to consult with you. Dahil sa ginagawa ng Trillanes and I want you to be my lawyer. Yun yun eh. And you know, alam mo yung conversation na yan, Pinky? Kung ilan na? 3.2 million views.
Yeah. Actually, kausap po namin kayo noon, hindi ho ba? Corina, I was talking to you during agenda when you said na nagtitiktok ako noon, tapos biglang tumawag si Pangulo sa akin at nagpaalam ka nga, Sir, pwede ho ba? Live ako ngayon.
Yeah.
At pinayagan ka niya. At ang sinabi niya noon ay, itong si Trillanes, kayo na po magsabi.
Sinungaling nga. Kasi nga, yung mga sinasabi niya ngayon, nung 2016 pa yan, recycled yan eh. At saka yung latest ha, kasi nakita ko sa social media ngayon, may Quadcom hearing, yung AMLAC na representative, tinanong ni ng isang kongresista ano ba itong pinakitang mga dokumento na ito? Galing daw sa inyo, sabi ni Trillanes. Di ba sabi niya, hindi. Pati yung attachment dyan sa ombudsman, hindi rin. O, di ibig sabihin fake.
For context, sir, what you're talking about is these documents that Senator Trillanes, former Senator Trillanes had shown of supposed bank deposits, to the tune of millions of pesos, halos.
Sabi niya,
Isa araw, dalawa araw.
2016, sabi niya, 210 million.
Yun yung sa BPI, doon po sa Julia Vargas.
Kaya, if you remember, nung gusto ni Presidente Duterte yung complete waiver, kaya sabi ko sa kanya, meron ka bang pera doon? Kasi nung tinawagan niya ako noon, hawakan mo ang kaso kasi Trillanes, ganito. Sabi ko, bakit? Meron daw akong 210 million pesos. I-expose ako bukas sa inquirer, sabi niya. Kaya sagot ko sa kanya, teka muna, bago ka hawakan ng kaso, tanongin kita, meron ka nga bang deposit sa Bank of P.I. Ortigas? Meron. Meron ka nga bang pera doon? Meron.
Magkano?
Meron ka nga bang 210 million? PI, wala nga eh. Paano tayo mananalo kung wala kang pera? Tinamaan ka naman ng magaling ka. Yan ang story nun. Alam mo kung magkano talaga ang pera niya? 16,000. Pero,
I remember, sir, I was there.
yung waiver, di ba? Sabi ko kay Presidente Duterte noon, wag waiver. Waiver pa rin, pero ibang klase. Kailangan specific kasi he's claiming that there was 210 million. So, gumawa ng SPA, binigyan ako ng authority to request them to certify that at no time since the inception of the deposit being opened up to the time that we are requesting, there was no accumulation of 210 million at kahit na anong transaction.
Ibig sabihin nun, mula nang binuksan itong account na ito, hanggang nung araw na yon, tama ho ba, nung 2016, bago pa po ang eleksyon, ay hindi nag-accumulate ng 210 million pesos po yun.
Ang katunayan, tinanong ko kasi si Presidente Duterte noon, sabi ko, meron ka bang pera doon na may milyon man lang? Sabi niya, meron. Magkano? Mga 20 siguro. Bakit? Sabi niya, nung namatay ang tatay ko, nagmana ako, nagbenta ako, kongresista ako. Kaya medyo aabot din
But
doon.
Attorney Panelo, siguro the question would still be, during the Quadcom, bakit hindi siya pumayag na mag-sign ng waiver? Dahil sinabi na po ng congressman doon, would you be willing to do it right here, right now?
Kasi
Tapos ang sabi niya, di ba ang sabi niya, bakit ako lang?
Oo, pero sinabihan ko na siya, meron ka ng waiver eh. Ano pang gusto mong waiver? Nag-waiver ka na nga eh.
But That was in 2016.
Even then, pag hindi mo nire-recall ang waiver, it's still there.
Yeah, but why not, for the
Hindi
benefit...
nandun na nga eh. It's still there.
Yeah, but why
In
not?
fact, ngayon-
Why not sign one there?
In fact, ngayon, tinanong ko siya, kaya nung tumawag siya, sabi ko, are you willing na kumuha tayo ng bagong ng record sa bangko? Oh, sabi niya, I can explain every single cent there kung magkano, kailan ko natanggap.
How do you plan to do that? Siguro yung
O di
after...
pupunta kami sa bangko. Sama ko siya. Bigyan mo nga kami.
Which bank is this?
Ay, hindi ko alam kung ano bang bangko. Alam ko, BPI lang ang pera niya.
Basically, yung sinasabi ni Senator Trillanes na bangko. Yun po yung sinasabi
I
niya.
think so.
Okay.
Kasi yung ginagamit niya, yun din eh. Same document na pinagta-type lang nila.
Does he still plan to appear in any hearing, sir?
Hindi naman siya imbitado na eh.
Duterte?
Kasi alam nila na nasabi niya na lahat ng dapat niya sabihin.
All right. We need to take a very short break. More of the discussion on the issue naman, hounding the Vice President. After the break, stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. I'm Pinky Webb. You're still watching On Point. Still with us, Attorney Salvador Panelo. So, Attorney, siguro pag-uusapan at kahit na po with the subpoena rather at tawagin po at magpakita si Vice President Sara Duterte, meron ho ba talagang active at conditional threat?
Wala. Walang-una.
Anong wala?
Yung
Walang
conditional threat sa akin galing yun.
I thought it was from Senator Bato.
Siguro narinig niya. Kasi diniscuss ko na yun sa programa ko. From the very time na bumanat si Inday, inano ko na yun.
Naisip mo na yung conditional?
Diniscuss ko na yun. Sabi ko, paano magkakaroon ng threat? Pagpatay na siya. Ano bang threat? Nasaan yung threat? Wala naman talagang threat eh. Ang sinasabi ko, kasi tinanong ko ng reporter, dapat ba seryosohin ang Malacanang? Dapat seryosohin yung sinabi niya. Not because threat sa kanila, but pag-aralan nila bakit itong babaeng, itong vice-presidente natin magsasalita ng gano'n. It means may threat sa buhay niya.
Which is what she's saying, sir.
Kaya nga, may threat sa buhay niya. But I said that even before nagsalita siya. Kasi ina-analyze ko na, may threat sa buhay niya. Kaya yan nagkakaganyan.
Now, here's the
Kumbaga,
question.
in advance na yung sinasabi niya na pag ako napatay dito, ito yung mga hanapin niyo.
Pero ang kanyang, we are presupposing, or she is presupposing, that kapag siya ay namatay o pinatay. Opo. Kasi ang ginamit niya, pag ako namatay.
Hindi, ang una sinabi niya, pag pinatay ako
No,
dito. Pangalawa, hindi. Pinanood ko ulit.
I
Nauna
did
yung pinatay bago sinabi niya pag namatay ako.
Basta ang sinabi, ma'am, don't worry about my security. Kapag ako ay namatay, may
Pangalawa niya
kinausap na ako. Okay.
That's the second statement.
So, we are presupposing that something will happen to her.
Yes.
So, tama ho ba na kapag inisip mo or you are anticipating rather that may mangyayari sa'yo, ay meron na akong kakausapin para patayin ito? Tama ho ba yun?
Sa akin, blaster lang yun. Blaster lang yun. Pero ang sinasabi niya, meron na siyang pinaghihinalaan. Bakit naman niya paghihinalaan ng mga ito? Number 1, tinanggalan siya ng security. Number 2, ini-impeach siya. Number 3, sinisiraan siya. Doon lang yung tatlong lang yan. Talagang, alam mong, papatayin ka ng mga kalaban mo. Hindi sila titigil.
Yeah. So, would it still be considered direct or indirect threat? Nandito na tayo sa conditional, active, ngayon direct,
Kaya nga,
indirect.
sinagot ko yung Malacanang active. Inactive ka mo, hindi active. Tsaka isa pa, sabi ng DOJ, yung nga si Jessie, makinig ka. Sabi ni Jessie, yung USEC, sabi niya, effectively, she admitted to be the mastermind of this crime, of this murder. And because she will be the direct beneficiary. Ha? Paano maging direct beneficiary kung pinatay na?
Mauuna pala siya mamatay.
Kaya yung operative act nung, yung crime na sinasabi, kung patay na siya.
Paano pagka...
Kaya nga sinasabi niya, di ba? Ba't kailan pa bang naging crime yung revenge from the grave?
From the grave. But getting an assassin.
Kahit
na
wala
po
naman siya
sabihin natin
sinasabing
na,
assassin. Sinabi niya lang na may...
I never use the word assassin. Saan ang galing yun?
Kasi sinabi niya lang na, hindi ba galing sa lahat ng mga
ano
detractors?
ba ang tawag sa kapag may kinausap ka na at may ipapatay ka?
Not necessarily. Kung kaibigan mo yon. kaibigan mo, pag ako napatay dito, alam mo na kung sino mga pumatay sa akin. Paano naman naging assassin yun?
Hindi, ang sinabi po niya, siguraduhin mong patayin si BBM, si Lisa, at si House Speaker.
But it doesn't mean na siya
No
mismo
joke.
ang papatay.
Yes, yes. But it means that she asked someone to do it on her behalf. Tama
Sa
ho?
akin, blaster lang yun.
Oh, do you think though that with all the discussion about this, does it help the VP rather that she had said that?
It does.
How so?
Because she's making it public that there is a threat against my life. At hindi ako iniintindi ng national security. Matagal ko nang sinasabi yan. Pero hindi nyo iniimbestiga.
Has she spoken to anyone really about it? Anyone in government?
I don't think so. Hindi ko alam.
Isn't she supposed to?
Wala naman siyang, di ba nagsabi niyo, meron ba kayong, di ba sinasabi na may meeting, nasa bang meeting nyo? Hindi nyo kayo inimbitahan. Ba't wala kayong transcript? Wala kayong notes?
Which meeting are you talking about?
Yung, di ba kasi sabi,
Committee on Good
magmi-meeting
Government.
daw yung National Security Council.
National Security Council, right.
Dapat,
Yeah,
member siya.
But should government look into these supposed threats on the VP? Kasi ang nangyayari po ngayon, sabi nga, double the security of the president and the first family. And then right now, attorney, yung pong Vice President SPG, Security and Protection Group, I don't know if you caught this. It just happened today. Papalitan po ng members of the AFP and the PNP. And when you listen to some of the statements made by Vice President Sara Duterte, sabi niya, I don't trust anyone anymore. What happens to the security of the Vice President now that yung kanyang VP SPG ay papalitan po ng isa pang batch? What do you think of that?
Siguro, kung ayaw niya yun, di yung mga volunteers coming from the people. Ang dami nagbo-volunteer. Pero alam mo, palagay ko, ang Malacanang dapat talagang imbestigahan yung mga salita niya. Hindi dahil sa tingin nila pinagbabantaan sila. Sa akin, hindi sila pinagbabantaan. Imbestigahan nyo para malaman nyo kung sino ang gustong pumatay sa kanya. Para malaman nyo kung sino. Kaya lang, ang problema, baka yung nag-iimbestiga, malaman, kayo pala. Hindi ka tumawa.
Siyempre. Tatawa to.
Ang ibig ko sabihin,
No, I get it. I know what you're
kailangan
saying.
imbestigahan nyo para kung hindi kayo, malaman nyo,
Sino?
Hindi kami. Ito
Kung hindi yung
namin.
pinaghihinalaan, who is it
That
then?
is precisely why
saying.
they should investigate to know kung sino ba yun.
Attorney Panelo, after everything that's happened, no, since ang hirap na nga sabi ko nga to keep up do you think this will make them stronger, the Dutertes, or do you think it will make them weaker?
Based on the social media, ang lakas nila. Based on wherever I go, ang mga tao palagi. I was telling the former president, alam mo baka ako doon diyan sa veterans, 3 araw na ako nagpupunta noon. Ang dami mga pulis. Lahat ng mga daanan ko doon, bumubulong sa akin, sir, presidente kami. Pag doon kami, sa kanya kami. Lahat yun. Love na love namin si presidente. Lahat sila, alam mo, maniwala ka. Si presidente nga ang pumipigil sa military. Ayaw niya ng coup. Ang dami na lumapit sa kanya. Ayaw ko ng bloodshed.
So, you're saying that active and retired military personnel ay lumalapit kay dating Pangulong Duterte?
Maraming lumalapit sa kanya.
At sinasabi pong ano?
Ano pa?
Ano po?
Mag-take over sila. Kasi kahit nung presidente
That's
pa yan.
serious.
Nung presidente pa yan, di ba, iniiwan kami sa cabinet niyan, sa galit niya, kayo, magbahala na kayo, magkudita kayo kung gusto niyo. Ayoko na rito sa gobyerno to. Di ba, ganon. Yun din ang sinasabi niya. Kung gusto niyo yan, pero ayoko ng bloodshed, ayokong madugo. Hindi ba sinasabi niya, hintayin niyo na lang, patapusin niyo na yung mama. Yun, sa totoo lang, between us, talagang yun ang gusto ni Presidente.
Between us and everyone watching.
Yeah.
Okay. Attorney, so sabi mo nga, mapapalakas pa ito. Sabi mo, because that
Hindi
was
lang
my last
mapapalakas,
question.
lumalakas
pa.
Lumalakas
After everything that's happened in the
kasi
past
nga,
days.
ikaw naman.
But quickly, sorry sir, sorry, we're running out of time.
Oh.
Impeachment. How is that? Sabi mo kasi lumalakas sila
Wala,
Sabihin po
i-impeach
natin.
nila yan. Maniwala ka, matagal ko nang sinabi, several months ago, i-impeach ka.
And how will
Sigurado yan.
that affect the siguro career, political
That
career.
will strengthen the sympathy of the people towards the Dutertes. And that will also escalate the anger and the hatred of people who are assaulting the Dutertes.
Former Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo. Sir, are you the lawyer who ba of President Duterte?
No.
Wala po.
For this libel, yes.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.